it's been said that one of the signs of decay in a society is when history is taken from us. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to resurrect it and put it in hands of families so they can teach their kids our godly history. The signers of the Declaration, for instance, but a lot of people in the history of our country recorded what they believed about Jesus because they wanted their kids to know. So a lot of them in their last will and testament would write what they believed. So we pulled that out when we could, and we put it in the books so kids can see in their own words what they believed about Jesus. They're learning so much, but they're doing it in story form. And there's actually been research that kids learn better when history is told in story format. Yes, there's 10 stories in each book. And we've built vocabulary in there too. We feel like kids need to be challenged in their vocabulary, but not overwhelmed. So we drew vocabulary words out if they were something they might not be familiar with. And Masterbooks did a great job putting them on the sidebar and explaining what the vocabulary word means. The history in the back of each book, we have a list of what Masterbooks curriculum each book coordinates with. So it coordinates with the living language lessons. It coordinates with the history, the science, the geography. So we've made a list for you so that you can use them when you're using the rest of Masterbooks curriculum. I'm going to tell you today about Jake DeShazer. He was an amazing man. He was one of Doolittle's raiders in World War II, and he heard about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and he was in the Army at the time, and it so upset him that he took a potato and threw it against the wall and said, I'm going to get those Japs. I'm going to go out there and fight them. So then he volunteered to be one of Doolittle's raiders for a special mission, and his mission was to bomb Japan. He did that, but then he was supposed to fly his plane to China occupied territory, but he ran out of gas and he crash landed. He was picked up by the Japanese. He was held as a prisoner for 4.5 years, and he was mistreated during that time. But toward the end of his time in prison, one of the prison guards gave the men 5 books. One of them happened to be the Bible. And he read it through there in his prison cell. He gave his life to the Lord there in prison, and it totally changed his attitude, even toward the guards. He had resented them. He'd been bitter about them or toward them, but it totally changed his attitude. And the guards saw this change. So this was near the end of the war. The war ended. He came back to the States, and he went to Bible college. He went back to Japan, and he preached to the very guards who had tortured him. He also wrote a tract. He went around the country of Japan sharing the gospel. And a really cool ending to it is the man who started the raid on Pearl Harbor, his name was Mitsuo Fuchida. He got a hold of one of Jake DeShazer's tracts. He read it. He sought Jake DeShazer out. He became a Christian. And the two men went together around to the country of Japan. Thousands of Japanese people were saved. So it's an incredible story of forgiveness. Here's this man that was so bitter at the Japanese, and he ended up being used by the Lord to lead thousands of Japanese people to salvation.